Hi, my name's Jake. Welcome. Today we're going to make a sales and inventory report that's going to illustrate how you can take the different facets of Excel and make them work together. There's a lot of tutorials, great tutorials about all the different facets of Excel, but how do you make them work together to make something that you can reuse every day? And it's going to, be based on files that you would get out of your system, like in typical CSV files, export out the products file, right? Export out the current inventory, export out another variation of the inventory, current inventory not group, so you'd see the item in there maybe more than once. And sales, so we'll have an Excel sheet of sales. This is real data, by the way, from a retail store. I made it anonymous, but it's about a year's worth of data. So we'll have, this has 12,000 rows, and so we'll be doing fairly big files. And the point is to how can we take these files and make sense out of them? How can we make decisions and take actions based on this? So what we're going to make in the end, when we're done, is something that looks like this. We're going to have a singular view now of an item. So we'll be able to look at an item and pull various bits of information from the different sheets onto one sheet, do some math on it, and also make a higher level view of sales, looking at dollars by category, making some charts here. And what we're going to use a lot of VLOOKUPs, we're going to use a lot of get pivot data, and we're going to use a lot of pivot tables. And the trick is going to be pulling that data back into other areas so that you can use it. All right, so let's get started. Okay, I've created a workbook called SIR Creation. All right. And the files, those CSV files that you run every day, you would put them in the same folder, same path, same folder every day with the exact same name. And the theory is we're going to be able to pull these out using get data, pull it out automatically every day. So you would export those, you would have to run the reports in your system, export them, with these names, put them in this folder, and then we can refresh the query and pull the data down automatically so you're not copying and pasting. So let's try that. So here we are. So let's go to data, and we're going to go from text. First one, let's get products first. Daily CSV files, so they're in there, and here's products. So we'll hit import. So this window pops up, and it has all the columns in that CSV file. Now, I have a pet peeve with products that are numbers. To me, they should always be text in Excel. Data type text, not a number. So we can transform that. See, transform data here. We can make this text so that every time it comes down, it'll be text. Also, in transform data, you can move columns around here. All right, so you can move columns around here if you need to, because if you move them, if we pull this down and then move the columns in Excel, refresh the next day, they go back to this. So let's do that while we're here. So I want to pull inventory type over here more. I want category products, the key, cost per unit, quantity. Actually, well, it doesn't matter. We'll leave it like that. And let's transform this now. So if you click on the column, right now it's a whole number. I want to make it text. All right, so now let's close and load. Okay, it comes down and it's in a table in Excel. And we got to be very specific on naming, table products. We're going to be specifically naming everything. Everything we can name, we're going to name because it helps when things get a little complicated. So table products. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other tables. The other tables, I'm going to pull them down, transform product, and they'll all be in here. But while we're here, I want to talk about the sales. So the sales are like historical, and it's real data. We had to pull them out a week at a time. So basically, they're in here for this item, for this week, the week of 10/15. This is the data. But for the current week, it's in by day. And you'll see how that's significant as we move on here. But right now, I have this historical file, Control C, and I'm going to go in here, start creation, Control V. I'm going to name it table sales because we're going to make it a table. To make it a table, Control T. And ask you, is this the right range? You hit OK. And now, see, if you click out, you're not in the table. Once in the table, let's name it here, table sales. Okay. All right, I'll be back. I'm going to pull out the other CSV files and I'll be back. Okay, the rest of the CSV files are down. You see how I named them table, current inventory. It's coming from CSV file. We have price, and here's our table of sales. Now, with the sales, we want to get the last 13 weeks, the average sales for every item, the 13-week average. So we would pick the 13 weeks, sum it, divide it by 13. Do the same thing for 4 weeks. And then we'd want to see sales last week and then sales this week. So we're going to make our own table, a grid, and we're going to call it, I put it in here, and I call the table week num. So we're going to give this a code. This date, we're going to give a code, and we're going to use Excel to do that. And then we're going to, over here, we'll have 13-week, 4-week, last week, this week. We'll put Y's here. So Y's, you'll put Y's here if it's so. And then we're going to use this to create pivot tables that we'll be able to carve the 13-week and 4-week, last week, this week out. So let's see how that's going to work. So I made this table. Our code will be week num. We'll make that after we put this other date in. We'll have a date, and we'll have 13-week, 4-week, last week, this week. So the first date of data that we have is 10/15. So I put in the next week, and then I can drag it down to Excel. We'll figure it out. Okay. Let me just go here for a second. I was in here before. All right. So, and let's do view, grease panes, and then let's put the filter on. So our last full week was 10/14. So I'm just going to put a Y here and go up 13 weeks. I think that's it. That's 14, one too many. So let's delete. So 7/22 was the first of the last 13 weeks, and 10/14 was the last one, last full week. Let's pull these over. Those are the last 4 weeks. That's last week, and now we're in the current week. And of course, the whole point of this is that next week, next Monday, everything just has to be brought down one. So this week would be the week of 10/28, and then 10/21 would be last week. So and all you'd have to do is cut, move down one here, paste. Now, this will be used in the lookups and the pivot tables that we're going to do, and everything will be updated simply by doing that. So, right now, let's make it a table. Control T. Hit OK. We'll name it Table Week Num. Table Week Num. And we've already named the sheet. All right, so Control Home at the top. So how are we going to create this code? So because we want to look up a date in here and pull back over here now. Here, let's see. I'm going to put these back over here. Right? That's what I was talking about earlier. We're going to have to do the same thing here, but let's go back here now and let's make our code. We're going to use the wizard and a nested function. We're going to put together the week number, a dash, and the year. This way it's totally unique. So we're going to use concatenate to do the putting together, right? And what's the first thing we want? We want to go right back to the wizard. We want week num. Serial number is the date, and the return type is 2 because we want the date to start on a Monday. So don't hit OK here now. Just go back to concatenate. We still have more things to fill out. So I want a dash. So you can put a dash with quotation marks, dash, quotation marks. And then we're going to go back into the wizard and find year, another function, and that argument is date. So now when we go to concatenate, we want 42-2018. All right. So let's do this now in sales. So if we insert a column all the way to the left, it's not part of the table. Just go back into the table, hit Table Design, and go to Resize, and change the B here to an A. Okay. We're going to do the same thing here. So let's name this again week num. Okay, so hit the equal sign. Concatenate. Concatenate what? Week num. Serial number is the date. Return type 2. Go back into concatenate. Don't hit OK. Now let's put in our dash. And now let's put in the year function. Year. And the serial number for year is date. There it is. So now we want to do the lookup and pull a, well actually what we want to do is if there's a Y here against this date, put a Y here. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to use another nested function. Let's use an if function. If what? If VLOOKUP, look up what? This. Where? In table week num. And what column? Index 3. And you want an exact match? Yes. So you have to type false. Don't hit OK. Go back to your if. If what? If. Now, when you can't see the end to the right here, just hit the end key and it will bring it to the end. If what? If VLOOKUP equals Y. What do you want me to do? Put a Y there. And if it's not true, put a no. Okay. So let's see now. What do we have? All right. So there's the first of the 13 weeks. And if we 10, 14, there's the last. So it's working. So now, to fill these out, instead of having to do that whole thing over again, what we want to get is 3, the column column 3 here is 13 week. Oh, 6 is this week. So we can just go in front of the equal signs and put anything here. You can put L, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Now it's just text. Just text. It's not a formula. So I can just copy this or actually just drag this over now. So now it's the same thing as in every cell. So if we go back to 13 week, I can delete this now. It's back. Here everything's good, except I want you to go look in the 4th column over in the table. So we'll put 4 here and get rid of the L. Put a 5 here in the lookup. Get rid of the L. And same thing here. Get rid of the L. And this is 6. So this week should only be 3 days, actually. The 21st, the 22nd, and the 23rd, right? So it's working. So this works now. So now what? So now that we have this, we can use this as a filter in a pivot table. So now we're going to start to do pivot tables. And let's do the first one. Let's do 13 week. Okay, so let's insert a pivot table on a new worksheet. And let's start pulling stuff. So this whole thing with the Y and L, this is where what it's all about. It's going to be the filter. Excel will be doing all the math for you on the 13, as you'll see it, as we're going to do it. So then product, you want product in the rows. Now what do we want? We want the count of week num to know how many weeks it's sold. So in 13 weeks, it's sold in 7, 5, 2, 3 weeks. And I'm going to close this now because then we want to get the 13-week average of dollars and the 13-week average of units. They're going to be calculated fields. So let's do our first one, calculated fields. Now I'm going to call it CLC, calculated, so I know it's calculated field. And then we'll call it 13-week average units. And it's going to be, sales is the units. So sales, you can double click or insert field, just divided by 13. Hit OK. So there it is. I don't worry about the formatting here. We'll worry about it when we pull it back. All right, let's make another one now. Calculated field. CLC 13-week average dollars. And that's going to be sales amount, that's the dollars, divided by 13. Okay. So there you go. I'm going to name it. So now this is a pivot, right? So pivot, 13-week average. And I'm going to copy this here. Control C. I'm going to go up here. And that, again, I'm naming the pivot here. Right, so now the pivot table is named. And of course, this is the sheet name. So that, and now, of course, here it is, Y. So now it's only grabbing the 13 weeks. It's counting what's in those 13 weeks. It's, this is the average sales. So let's take a look at this. Let's look at this one. 10,007. Control C. So sold in 5 weeks. So let's go to sales. All right, let's put the product in. Control V. There it is. And let's do only 13 week. Yes. So It sold in 5 weeks. Now, it sold altogether 1789.22 equals 1789.22 divided by 13. So, over 13 weeks, the average was $137. $37. Average units was 7.9. So that's how it works. I'm going to do this for the other, for 4 weeks. For 4 weeks, I'll have to do the calculated fields, but for last week and this week, it's just going to be a sum of the units and a sum of the dollars. So I've done some housekeeping and done the rest of the pivots. Here's the this week pivot, the pivot last week, the 4 week, and the 13 week. I've put them all to the right here. I've colored them red. We're not really going to be in them that much. We'll be in it to create, but for the life of how we use the workbook, we won't. We won't be down here anymore. So we have to get all this data now back somewhere. Where are we going to put it? I'm going to put it on the products sheet because all the products are on the sheet. Current inventory is you're only going to have products there where there is inventory. But what happens if we just sold out of something and we want to keep our eye on it? Because we don't want to, there's 1,300 or so items here. And we don't want to have to wade through them all. We want to be able to select what we want to see. So we're going to go over that. But first thing first, let's get the data back. Now, I just realized I have to make one more pivot table. And that pivot table is not going to come from sales. It's going to come from current inventory not grouped. Current inventory not grouped has, first of all, it means that the item could be on here twice with 2 different lots. And it also has the days that this lot has been in-house. So that's kind of something I'd want to know. So I'm going to make a pivot table from this table. So let's do it. Insert a pivot table. Put on a new worksheet. All right, we're going to pull down the product. We're going to pull down the count of product. This will tell me if there's more than one lot. And it counts it. And then we're going to pull down days, but we want to do the max. Left click here, go to value field settings. So here we can sum or average. Now we can't use average for the 13-week average because if something only sold in 6 weeks, it would only take the sum and divide it by 6. And we wanted to see the 13-week average. But here, we can now use max. And so we're going to get the max of days. All right, so here's a 10,005. We only have one lot, and it's only been here 7 days. Okay, here we have 2 lots, and the oldest is 7 days. Here we have 5 lots, and the oldest is 194 days. So you wonder about what's going on there. So let's name this pivot. We'll call it count and max days. Make it red. Tab color red. We can move it down here if we want. Next. Oh, it didn't go. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay. So all this stuff's going to come back on this sheet. So let's get started. So what we have to do here now, I'm going to do one way and then I'll show you another way. So all you have to do is go to, so we want count of lots. We made this pivot. There's the count of products, same thing. Hit OK. Now, when I did that, it actually creates a function to get pivot data. And the get pivot data hard codes everything in. So for it to be relative and look in 1002 here, and right now all it's doing is looking at 1005 because that's what I clicked in here. So all we have to do is get rid of 1005. I double clicked, make sure everything's selected here, and just click in the product column. And there you go. Now, oh, what's this? Why do we have these references? Well, the reason is because not every item are in these files. These is only the current inventory, right? So this item, we don't have this item in current inventory anymore. So when it tries to look it up, it says, hey, I can't find it. We don't want to have these Excel errors as data in our columns. If the column is supposed to be a number, we want it to be a number. So to do that, all we have to do is use the if error function. And here we'll just type it. So if error, parentheses, go to the very end, hit the comma. And now, so what do we want? We want a 0. So now, so let's do the max days, and we'll do it. This way we'll do it with if error. So the first thing we'll use is if error. If error. If error what? An Excel error. Well, if it's, I'm going to go here now and get the max days. If it's an error, if you can't find it, put a 0. So we only have 7. We have no errors. So again, we have to clear that item code and just click in the product column. And now, here we go. All right, so again, we have Control, Shift, down arrow, 1,359 products, Control Home, but let's take the zeros out. We only have inventory for 411 items. So go to Control Home to the top. So let's get price. We're going to do a lookup, third column to get it. In. Go to products, equals, if error, VLOOKUP, here, Control V, 3, false. If error, so I'll click back here, 0. Okay, potential profit is in the current inventory. So that is in column 17 for the lookup. And let's copy the name. Okay, let's go to products. Equals. If error, what's the error? If you look up, what do you want to look up? Where? Current inventory, 17, exact match, and go up to if error and put 0. And it's formatted as currency, which is nice. All right, select we'll do at the end. Okay, weeks sold last 13 weeks. That's coming from the 13-week pivot here. Okay, so weeks sold equals error, 13-week count. So it'll be this count. Value of error, 0. And let's get rid of that and click in product. All right. Okay, 13-week sales average units. So there's probably items that probably average out less than 1. So we're going to make sure everything's comes back just as a whole number. And that's going to be here in the pivot, right? It's going to be here, sum of week, let's see. Yeah, So this is going to come back as 248. So let's do that. So it's going to be equals. Now we're going to do a nested function again. If error, now there's a function round up. What do you want to round up? Well, I want to round up this number in that column. And the argument for that is a 0 or omitted to the nearest integer. So everything will go up to a whole number. So we'll put 0. And let's hit if error here now, and 0. And it's going to come back now hard-coded. Hit that. All right. So there's zeros, and this is formatted as general. Right? Let's see. Home. Just formatted as a number. Okay, weeks of supply will just be, we're just going to divide the count of, the quantity on hand. We're going to divide it by the 13-week sales in units. That'll give us theoretically our weeks of supply. So equals, if error, this divided by sales units. Value of error, 0. Okay. There you go. We'll leave it formatted with a decimal. Fast-moving items, items are different. So, and then average sales, if error. All right, what's the error here? Average dollars, 0. Up here, okay. We have to again make it relative. And yeah, so that's it. So now I'll fill out the rest. I'll go into the 4-week pivot, do the same thing I did here. Then I'll go into the sales last week pivot, just pull back whatever the sum of the units and the dollars, and the same thing with sales this week. And I'll be back. Okay, I filled out the rest of these columns from the other pivots, just like I did for a 13-week. Did some more, did some coloring down here to help select different sheets. And now let's go to our select. How are we going to select? We have about 1,300 items on the sheet. We don't want to miss any. So we don't have back order information. So we want to see an item that has greater than 0 inventory or greater than 13 weeks. 13 weeks average sales is greater than 0. We want to see it. And we also want to see it if it's on this table. I inserted a simple little table here, and I put an item on here that has no inventory, and the 13-week average for units is 0. So we want to find this number, find this item code with a Y. Well, let's see how that works. So we're going to use an if statement. I'm going to use a couple things in here. So let's, an if and an or. Okay, so the equal sign. If, so it's the first thing up. Logical test. Or what? Quantity on hand is greater than 0, right? So there it is. Greater than 0. What's the next one? Week sell last 13 weeks is greater than 0. Or in plain English, if it's on this, it's on this table. The table is watch items. I should have copied it, and that's going to be, is it an error? So is error says, hey, if it's an error, it's true. So I'm going to say, hey, if it's an error and it's false, then it has to be on the sheet. So let's see if we can figure this one out. Okay, so, or is error now, not if error, is error. What's the error? VLOOKUP what? An item code. Where? I didn't copy a table. Watch, let's see. If I do it right, yep, came up. Which column index? 1. False. Now, don't hit OK. Go to, back to if. I'll go back to or, right? Okay. Now, again, I'm going to hit N to go all the way to the right. So if is error false, and you don't need quotation marks around it. Okay, so where are we now? We've got the or going on. So if any one of these things is true, go back to if now. What do you want me to do? I want you to put a Y. And if none of them are true, put an N. Let's see. Let's see what the deal is. Okay. Now. All right, so quantity on hand. Oh, you can see some system items here. Quantity on hand is 0. Weeks sold less 13, 0. Select. Yes. What's that? There it is. Wow. 10374. So let's go back. Well, first of all, let's go back here. Let's delete it. See what happens. It's no now. See that? No. Select no. 10374. Quantity on hand is 0. Weeks sold is 0. So it should be no. Unless 10374, unless it's here. And of course we have to make this text, right? So if we're going to put a number in, we want it to be text, just put the apostrophe. 10374. Okay, now it's back in our table. Now there should be a Y there. Now there's a Y there. Okay, so, but everything else is 0 for 13-week sales units greater than 0 and total on hand. So that's how we can select. You can make any rule you want, you know. Okay, now we have our singular view, and in conjunction with you know, filtering and sorting, you really can do a lot here. But before we kind of get into that, we need to make a larger view, and we want to do it by category. We want to do really sales by category. How does each category sell? 13-week, 4-week average. What are total sales for 13-week, 4-week, etc. by category. And so I created a sheet and I started to fill out. Now this is not like all these other tables. This is just going to be the dashboard. And this is where we're going to be pulling back data for the categories. And the way we're going to do it, we have to, of course, create more pivot tables, but we're going to make a whole bunch of very small ones that we kind of can copy, just to make it easy and to make it simple. I'm sure there's more elegant ways. You might be able to put them all in one giant pivot table, but I just want to illustrate what you can do. So let's do that. Now, though the data is in the sales. So remember this? Back we made the week num thing, and so here's all we have: 13-week, 4-week. Everything's here for us to be able to do it out of the sheet, except we don't have category here. There's no category. That's what we need. But we do have category on products, and since we have all the products, we should be able to get a hit on items that, you know, older items, you know. On the sales list, you could put another column and maybe you know, put Y's for this this April versus last April, or whatever you want to do. But what we have to do now, we want to make pivot tables off here, summing up category for 13-week, 4-week, last week, this week. So let's get category back in here, and since it's here, it's we're gonna pull it right here. It's in the we move select over here, so it's in the third column in the products. So we're gonna put category here. So category, we'll just put cat. All right. Let's go to product. So let's go to table design to get the right table name. Control C. Let's go to table sales. I'm going to do the VLOOKUP. I'm going to look up the product code here. Okay. From product, third column over, exact match. All right. So now we have category, and there's no errors. So, every line here, these 12,000 lines, has a category, which is great. So now we're going to do, pivot tables like we did before. Really, going to have a calculated field, but it's just going to be at the category level. Okay, so let's insert a pivot table on a new worksheet. So put the first one there. So this is going to be our 13-week. All right. So again, call it the selector. I'm going to bring that down. We want, instead of pulling the product down in rows now we want the category. Now, here's our category now. So we have to get out of this now, because we're going to do calculated fields again. So that we could do it right from here. So clicking in the pivot, go back up here, calculated field. Okay, so calculated 13-week total dollars. Okay. And it's going to be, the dollars are sales amount, right? Sales amount divided by 13. And hit OK. All right. So, again, when we hit Y, there you go. So there's your total dollars. And now, by category. So now, all you can have to do here, really don't even have to, we'll do this one more time. We'll Control C, put it here, paste. All right. So now this is the 13. First go back up here, show field list. We can pull 13-week out. We'll uncheck this. It's out now. Pull 4-week down. Okay. So now this is the 4-week. But what we need now is a new calculated field. We can pull this field out in this pivot table. This is the cool part. Okay, we can undo that. And now let's just go here, calculated field. All right. So it'll be CLC 4-week total dollars. So average. CLC 4-week total dollars average. Right. I'm going to go here. Sales amount divided by 4. Okay. All right. There you go. Now we'll copy this. Go here. Okay, go back in. Show field list. Uncheck this. Last week. category. So we want to pull this calculated 4-week out. And now we don't have to do any average. We're just going to take sales amount. Okay, should work. And Y. See, they're all that's the key. Okay. All right, one more time. Let's do this one. Control V. I'm sorry, Control C. Doesn't like Control V. Paste. All right. Show field list. Last week comes out. This week. This week. Okay, category. Sum of sales. So you don't have to change that. And hit Y. Okay. Let's view, zoom. Let's make it like 85. All right, and I want to make one more. So here's all our, by category, the 13-week average, the 4-week average, last week, this week. One more. It's just going to be, it's going to come from the product table. So let's go to the product table now. And let's go to insert a pivot table. And we're going to put it on an existing worksheet. This one, which we have to name, and I have to name all the pivots. And we're going to put it here. Hit OK. I just want a count of products by group. And the reason I want to do this is to be able to make sure I don't miss a category. So I'm going to pull category down, and I'm going to put product here. And you'll see why. Okay, so here's the total number of categories that we have. You know, there's 12. And so getting back, so now I made these. I'm going to come back. I'm going to name all the pivots. I'm just going to go up here and name them. I'll name the sheet and I'll be back. Okay, so here are the pivots. They're all named here. You know, I just named them. And now we're going to bring these back into here and start building this out. Okay? So what do we want? We want and this is all going to be dollars now. We want the 13-week average in dollars. We want all this, 4-week average, sales last week, sales this week. Percent change, 4 versus 13. Percent change, last week versus 4. And we're going to make a little table called pace over here. And we'll see how all this works. So let's get going. So the first thing I'm going to do is copy this right here. So this is kind of not this is semi-automated, I guess. Copy those, Control C, go here, and put them, now right-click, paste special, transpose. See, puts them right here. Now, so if you run these reports every day or once a week, or you can always just go into the pivot, go here, copy and paste in case somehow a new category is added. You don't want to miss it. Paranoid about missing information, you know. What's the 13-week average? Oh, one more thing here. I'm going to just insert. And this will be the total right here. So what's the 13-week average? Go here. It's that. All right. So we're just going to do, and let's do if error. Keep everything nice and neat. If error. What? That. Value of error 0. All right. If error, go to the 4-week now. 0. Nice. Looks like things are looking good. Sales last week equals back to here. So see how you can go in here, you know, last week. And these we want hard-coded. And they are going to be hard-coded. Actually, I didn't do a error there. So again, if you forget, I-F-E-R-R-O-R, open parentheses, go to the end, comma. In this case, we'd want 0. We're dealing with numbers. If you wanted blanks, it was text, it was names, something. For blanks, you could just put quotation marks, space, quotation, close parentheses. It will leave it, it would make it blanks. But in this case, we want a number. So I'm just going to hit backspace, 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 hit 0. Okay, all right, let's get this week, one more. Equal if error, pivot stash. The sales this week on a Monday will be 0. Or, we'll see. We'll see how that works. 0. Okay, so let's go up here. Dollars. Oh, wait, hold on. Right. So there you go. Let's get everything by group now. So hit equals, if error. So we're going to 13-week average. Go here. Here's your 13-week pivot. There's group A, although it doesn't matter. The value of error is 0. Okay. Now, of course, it's hard-coded group A. If I pull it across, obviously, it's all the same. But we want to change group A. So get the quotation marks, everything in between, up to the comma. And now just click on group A here. It's going to be the same value, but now when we bring it across, there you go. Same here now. Equals. We're going to go to the 4-week. If error. Go to pivot stash. Here's 4-week. Value 0. Enter. Again. Here. Okay. And then this equals 70,000, which is there. Same here. Go to the last week. 0. Back up here. Group A. And the last one. Fair. This week. Value of error 0. Delete. Backspace. Group A. Okay. All right. Now you can just copy. Paste special. Formats. You know, I don't like, hold on, I don't like this. Let me get to it. Hold on. Let's do this. Right click. Format cells. Let's see. I don't want that. Currency. No decimal places. Yeah, I like that one better. I like that one. Cool. All right. All right, so let's get this percent change now. Equals, if error. All right, so open parentheses. It's going to be the new divided by the old minus 1. And if it's an error, put a 0 there. Okay, let's percent And let's go out one. All right, so let's do this one. Equals, var, open parentheses. So this one is going to be last week. So last week is the new. So last week divided by the 4 week, right? Last week versus the 4, right? Minus 1. And if it's an error, put a 0. Okay. So we're down. All right, so let's copy. Formats. Okay. So it's down. So last week versus the 4. So the 4 was 70. Last week was 6. Yeah, so makes sense. Last week was 67,000, so it went down about 4%. All right, so we're going to make a little table called pace. Now, if we had the right data, if we had all this daily data, we could figure out, you know, sales by day, just to have an idea of how you're doing during the week, right? So let's try it. So we'll make, we'll call it for pace. And we can automate it, but right now, so this was supposed to be Thursday, October 24th, 2019. So we'll put that in for now. All right, and then then let's do this. So we'll do day num, right? And we'll just do 1 to 7. We'll put the day, Monday, Tuesday. See how Excel knows what kind of. All right, and percent. By the end of close of business Monday, I should have 10% of my sales for the week done. The end of Tuesday, I should have 20 done. The end of Wednesday, Thursday. The end of Thursday, we'll say 40. But the end of Friday, I should have 60 done, and then 80 done, and then 100 done. And so we want to see how sales are doing compared to like 13. Now I could automate this with the weekday function, but I can't now because it's not 1024. So let's make believe. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to do equals. There's a function called weekday, which is going to give, there it is, serial number, there is, it says date, and the return type is kind of like the other one. If you put 2, the week starts on a Monday. So let's hit OK. So this is a Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's 4, but we want it to be close of business Wednesday, so all we have to do here is hit -1. And make sure that you format this as general or a number. So now it's a number. All right, so we're gonna look this thing up now and use a VLOOKUP, and we're gonna come down into the table to grab this. So let's see how it works. So what we want to do, and let's do if error. What we want to do is we're gonna, the percent that we're at so far in the week, so that'll be this week above, below pace versus 13. So it'll be, here we are for the week, divided by this, right? And actually, let's close this in parentheses. So that's going to be a percent. Let's see. It's 32%. So see here, it does the math already. So we want to subtract this from VLOOKUP. Look up what? Well, we want to look up this. Oh, where? Well, you know what I'll do? For now, we can do this. Let's just do this. Yeah. I could have made it a table. I should have. The third column, and we need an exact match. Let's see what happens. Oh, if error, so I'll go back up and make it 0. So what this is saying is, so far, this is, we thought it was 32%, and we're like, at the close of business, we should have done 30% of the business, so we're above pace against the 13-week. So let's see what it looks like in the 4. And let's just do it again. It's good practice anyway. All right, so if error, again, we're going to do actually before I do that, let me do this. Let's see what happens. I'm going to make this a table. Control T. Okay. And I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to make it table paste. Now let's go and see what this is. So you see how I had to use the reference? Now I'm going to put TBL PACE. And now it's looking in this table, not the range. So let's try it again. Equals, if error. So now what we're going to do, sales this week divided by the 4-week average minus VLOOKUP. Look up this. Where? Now table pace 3 false. Back to if error 0. So we're even doing well with the against the 4-week, which is better. So we're still a little above pace. All right, we want to get potential sales. Now that is in the table current inventory in column 17, and we have category here. So let's make a pivot table on an existing worksheet. Pivot stash. Keep going to the right here. Don't go underneath. Hit OK, and it will be category now. Let's see, here's category. Total potential profit. I'm going to sum it up. So we have 139. Yeah, this, I'm not sure what that is, but we'll 139,000. So all we have to do is go to the dashboard. So the total is going to be equals our dash 0. Right? What happened here? Oh, then it's percent. So let's go up here. Right click. Format cells. Currency. All right, let's do it by category. Equals, if error, group A, 0. Okay, let's pull these over. Okay, now let's go up here. Same thing as we've done before. Okay. All right, now let's do this. So this is going to be equals, if error, this divided by the total, 0. Now we have to lock in this number, right? And all you have to do is E11, just hit the F4 key. It's locked in. There you go. So this should equal 100%. It equals 100%. All right, let's get back up here now. This should go over like this. These could go right over. Now here, we have to make sure to lock in this VLOOKUP. We're always going to be looking up this as we go across. C1 actually, yeah, C1. Let's make F4, right. This is the same thing, C1. Hit the F4 key to lock it in. Okay. All right, so let's make this a little colorful here. So let's select this. We'll make them green. Money. No, not that green. Ah, yes, this green. Oh, that's wrong. So let's go back. We're going to make it. Let's make that yellow, because we're going to make these yellow, and then let's make this one green again. So let's get back here. So let's make some easy charts. So I've just highlighted this. We'll go right into Insert, Charts, and maybe we'll do 2D. So you can put that right there. Let's do another one for it. We could change that. You guys can do that. And then let's go to the pivots. Let's go to potential profit. I'm going to highlight it, insert, chart, okay, put in a pie chart, right click on it, we can move it, move chart, object and dash, and let's move it. Okay, now we're in dash. So let's click here, right click, add data labels, see what, okay. Let's go in again now, format data labels. Let's add category. So now we have category. Okay, and we can delete this. So, now what? Also, let's copy this. Okay, we're going to copy this. Control C. We're going to put it down here, and we'll do paste special, values, and again, paste special, formats. So now, we're going to add some data, and let's see what happens. All right, I've added data. I've added some data. Let's assume that it's 1 week from 10/24. It's 10/31. So we finished out the week of 10/21, and we have 3 days of sales for the week of 10/28, the 28th, 29th, and 30th. Also, I've added sales. I've added one item. Item 77777, Group Z. And I think we sold 13 units in the week of 10/21, and I believe we sold 13 units this week. So this is Thursday, but on the Monday of the next week, the first thing the person running this report would have done But I said, all right, now our 13 weeks, we'll delete the Y there. Now our 30 weeks will be up to and including the week of 10/21. Same thing here, we'll delete the Y there, put it here. And now, last week was the week of 10/21. And this week is the week of 10/28. Okay, so now, first of all, we have to update the tables and the pivot tables. So let's do that. So we're going to refresh all the tables. And I also added one line to each of the CSV files, and I put those files in where the daily CSV files are supposed to go. So I had done that already. So let's assume all that. All right, so let's go back now. What does the dashboard say? Wow. So the dashboard is saying the 13-week average has gone up from 66 to 69. The 4-week average is 74. Sales last week, $91,888. So let's check that one. Let's go to sales. So that'll be the week of 10/21. Let's go back to the pivots. Everything got updated, but let's just make sure. We'll go to pivot tables and we'll refresh all the pivot tables. And then remember, we had to take, see, if we didn't do this, we'd miss group Z. 777 is in group Z. So that's why paste special, transpose. There's group Z now, and everything came over. So you could just do this, pull it over. Okay? So we sold, the 13-week average is 100 because we sold 1,300. In 4 weeks, the average is 325 because we sold 1,300 within the last four weeks. We sold it in the last day of 10/21. Now sales this week is also 1,300 this week because we sold it this week. So if we go back into table sales and look for product 7777, one more. Sold it twice. We sold it during the week of 10/21, and we sold it the day of 10/30. So there you go. So here's, I mean, you can create whatever you want, but just getting the idea of how, because I made this little grid for myself, I was able to pull this data back into table sales, and then use that as hooks and pivots to slice and dice data. I hope this works for you. Good luck. Godspeed.